Hey everybody, I'm David. Welcome to Country Boy Catfishing. Today we're going to go over tackle. I get a lot of questions. People asking what type of rigs, sinkers, hooks, stuff like that. So I want to get a video out there to help people and kind of show them what I use and show you how I tie it, different things. And on all my rods and reels, I use Berkeley Big Game. Uh, I've had great success with it for many years. I like the high vis green, the solar. Uh, it works really well. Uh, on my rods, I've got 25 and 40-pound main line, and I run 60-pound leader line on everything, and that's what I got today to uh, help show you some of these knots and stuff I'm tying. Uh, so uh, let's get into it. We're going to work from the bottom up. First thing is hooks. Uh, so I've got several different style hooks. I've got the Gamakatsu. I've got Catfish Sumo. And I've also got hooks from uh, Lee Reed at Uncle Lou's Tackle. I'm going to kind of show you all these and talk a little bit about hooks. That's not the one I want. So I use mainly circle hooks, guys. I used to use J hooks. Uh, I didn't have an issue with the Mustad J hooks I was using. Caught lots of fish on them, but I missed a lot of fish on them too. Because I'd be messing with one rod and they'd be biting another one, and I would miss the fish. So I got into circle hooks, fell in love with the circle hooks, and I like the offset octopus style circle hooks. Uh, this one here is a Gamakatsu. You can see it's offset. See the octopus style, the turn shank, it's not in line. It's turned. That makes it octopus. Uh, Notice the prolonged saddle here, which gives you a wider gap. This is an 8-ounce Gamakatsu. This is an 8-ounce catfish or 8-aught catfish sumo, and it's octopus style as well. But hook sizes vary depending on manufacturers, guys. So not all 8-aughts are the same. And you can see these are both 8-aught hooks. But if you look at the Catfish Sumo, see how narrow the bend is here. And on the ones from Uncle Lou, see how it's more elongated. You got more of a saddle here, which gives you a wider gap. Uh, Bigger baits, live baits, you like the bigger gap. The main thing with circle hooks, guys, do not fill the gap up with bait. Leave that gap open to where you can get a good hook set. If you fill that gap up with bait, you're going to miss fish. Uh, this is also the 10-aught Uncle Lou's octopus circle hook. I really liked it. It's offset. I really like this for my live bluegill and stuff. Works great. Uh, I've had lots of good luck with them, and man, it makes a ton of difference. Another thing with hooks, guys, wire size. The bigger fish, it's not as important. On your smaller fish, if you have a heavy wire hook, it's going to take more pressure and more force to set that hook on that fish. Uh, The Gamakatsu's a little bit smaller than the Catfish Sumos, but I have caught tons of fish on these. Uh, I've caught even 2 and 3 pound fish on the Catfish Sumo hooks. Uh, I have missed fish on them because 8/0's as small as I go on my hooks. Uh, Guys, if you're fishing for, smaller fish, downsize your circle hooks. Uh, Make sure you have a thin wire hook. It'll usually tell you, and it will improve your hook sets tremendously. Uh, I'm going to show y'all a couple of knots that I tie, how I rig mine, but I'm going to use the Uncle Lou's 10/0 circle hook, and y'all can find him on Uncle Lou's Tackle on Facebook. Great guy. He's got great products, and I really just love the tackle I get from him. All right, first one I'm going to show you guys is the Doc Lang Snail. That's all I've ever heard it called by. I learned this from Muskrat Adventures, and that's just always what I've done. I'm going to show y'all up close. We're running the tag end up from the back of the hook through the front of the eye. We want to leave that out because that's what we're going to need to pull earlier or later. We're going to take the other end of the line and we're going to run it through opposite. We're going to take it through the front of the hook, out the back, and we're going to leave a little tag line on it, and we're going to pull it down to this shank. And we've created a loop. So what we're going to do now, we got to hold those tag ends against the hook of that shank, or the shank of that hook, and we're going to grab our loop end. And guys, on your hooks, I don't know if you can see it very good, but you can notice it's notched on one end. It's open and it's solid on this end. When we wrap our snails, always go to the side that's solid. And all we're going to do is start wrapping that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I go 7, guys. You can go more. 7 is just a number that I use because it's the perfect number in the eyes of God, and I've just always done 7. I've known people that's done 8, 10, 5. It's all up to you. But after you wrap it, you still see you got this loop. Grab your tag end that you stuck through the front of the hook and start pulling it. You'll see that and feel that start cinching up. And when it cinches up, guys, pull it tight. You want to pull that really tight. And that hook is snailed. You've got this little tag end. Guys, catfish are not line sensitive. That tag end is not going to hurt, but you can always go back in with a knife or a pair of scissors and cut that off so it's out of the way. It's just your personal preference. But that hook is solid as a rock. And you notice the way we snailed it coming back through the front, it puts pressure on that hook and it gives you that trigger effect. If you run that across your hand, it's going to always pull into your hand. It's going to do the same thing on that fish. When that fish takes that hook and tries to run with it, and that pressure gets on that hook, it's going to pull that and set that hook in the corner as his mouth, and it works great. Another benefit of circle hooks, do not set the hook. You can reel down on them or just slowly put pressure on them, but do not jerk and set the hook like you were with the J hooks. Don't try and rip their lips off. You'll pull it loose and pull it out of their mouth. This particular loop here, the snail knot, it will not come loose. Even if you feed it slack back through that eye, it will not come loose. It's a great knot, very tough, very durable. With this one, to get it off, you have to cut it loose. I mean, it's not just going to fall off. Let me get this loose and I'll show you another snail. With circle hooks, guys, it's always better to snail the hooks. Uh, I know a lot of guys don't like snailing, but it will improve your hookup ratio tremendously. Okay. Another knot, guys, real quick, real simple, is the no knot snail. Same thing, same hook, same line. We run it in, run that tag in down the shank of that hook. We hold it. Same thing. Don't wrap on the side that's got the opening in it. You don't want to get your line in there and get it pinched. So always start on the solid side of the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And guys, keep your wraps as tight and as close together as you can, and it will help strengthen your snail knot. Then we're going to do the same thing. Go through the back of the eye. If I can hang on to the line. Go through the back of the eye, and straight out the front. Pull it, cinch it tight. The harder you pull on this, guys, the tighter that snail gets. Now, the no-knot snail, I've heard a lot of guys talk. They don't like the way that bottom loop, if you feed it, gives it slack. But I've never had one come loose. They're a great knot, quick, easy, simple to tie. And same thing with your tag up here. Catfish are not line sensitive, but you can shorten that and cut your tag in, and you're ready to fish. And that's how I snail my hooks. Snailing hooks make a big difference. Another thing you can do, I've seen a lot of guys tie different knots on their hooks, and you don't get that trigger effect of that hook. When you drag that hook automatically sets. So snailing your hooks will definitely improve it, guys. So now we've covered our hooks, we've covered our snail. This is your leader line, and we're going to talk about rigs. Guys, the two most popular types of catfish rigs are Carolina rig or a Santee Cooper rig. And I'm going to show you both of them, and we'll go over them. And we've already got this hook tied on here. And guys, your leader line can be whatever you want it to be. They can range from 12 inches on up to 4 foot. Most of the time I like mine about 18 inches to 3 foot with live bait. On cut bait, I tend to use a shorter leader. So this particular one here, I would use cut bait on. And let me get a swivel. I'll show y'all how I rig these. What I use are barrel swivels. These particular ones are rated for 200 pounds. I know that seems like overkill on catfish, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. And a lot of guys will use a 3-way swivel, and that's fine. They'll attach their drifting weights to that 3-way swivel, and or let their sinker drop down and rig them like that. But I'm going to show y'all where I tie my swivels. I use an improved modified clinch knot. I do it a little bit different than everybody else does. So I'm going to show y'all. It's really strong, really effective, and I've never had one fail. We're going to go through the eye of that swivel, pull us some slack, and we're going to twist it. Same thing. We're going to run it through about 7 times. And guys, your swivels and stuff, that's your choice. Use what you want, rig what you want. I'm showing you different rigs that I use that are common and effective. But once you wrap it, you'll see that there's a little loop at that end. we want to stick that tag in through that loop. Grab that and start pulling. As you pull it, you're going to see that it creates another little loop on this end. This is the extra step. Most people just cinch it down right there. But what I do is I run my tag in back through that top loop and pull it up. And this loop creates a lot of friction, so you got to wet your line, guys. Wet your line, it'll protect that knot. Then you just pull it, cinch it down tight. Both ends, you want to pull the main line, pull it down, and then you want to pull your tag line. Pull it tight. And that knot is not going anywhere. It is cinched up there, it is tight, and it's a great knot. Tag in, same thing, just take you a pair of scissors, cut it off. Don't obsess about trimming your tag lines, guys. Catfish are not line sensitive, so if there's extra line down here by the hook or up by your swivel, they're not going to care. They're going to hit that bait and they're going to take it either way. It just makes it look a little bit more nicer and cleaner when you trim them. But that's totally up to y'all. It's just a personal preference. So now we've got our basic rig for a Carolina rig. This is the basic leader. And this same leader, if you pre-time, we can take this same leader and use it for Carolina rig or Santee Cooper rig, as long as you use the cigar slotted peg floats. And I'm going to show y'all some of them. So this is our hook, our leader line, our barrel swivel. This here I got from Uncle Lou's also. It's a 3-inch cigar float. It is slotted to where you can take it on and off the line. And that's one advantage to these cigar floats and buying the slotted ones. You can go from a Carolina rig to a Santee Cooper rig really quick just by adding the float. We just pull the line down into those slots, and you're going to want to slide that float wherever you want it, guys. Some people like it closer to the hook. Some people like it farther away. This is completely adjustable. You set it where you want it, and then you just take your stops and stick them back in the end of your float. And this locks your float in place. So wherever you set this is where it'll stay. And now you have a leader for a Santee rig. So basically your sinker is going to be on the other end of this with your main line. And what that float does, it's going to float your bait up in the water column. Gets it up off bottom. Sometimes when they're not cruising the very bottom, this is very effective. It's very effective dragging. If you're fishing a lot of rocks and stuff and tend to get snagged up a lot, by adding that simple 3-inch cigar float, it will float that hook up and you don't snag up as much. So there are other ways of doing this Santee rig. I'm going to show y'all. This is with the cigar float. Cigar floats don't float that much weight. So if you use bigger baits, you can go to the same kind of rig, except this one is not slotted. You have to put it on the line before you attach it to your swivel. It's still adjustable with the peg, to where you can move it up and down with this peg, but you cannot take it on and off the line without cutting the end of your line. On this one, I've added a Versa rattle. I've added a bead, and that's just to protect that up by the hook, and it's snailed. Same basic principle, but this little 2.5-inch oval float will float more weight or bigger bait up off the bottom than that 3-inch cigar float will. So I just added the rattle on here. A lot of guys like them. If you're fishing in current or you're using live bait, those rattles will make noise. if you have no current and you're not fishing live bait, that rattle is really not going to help you that much. It doesn't hurt being on there, but it's not going to help. Another thing on the Santee rigs, instead of the floats, there's a lot of Demon Dragon style floats, which is basically a spook with no hooks. I got these from Uncle Lou also. They got rattles in them. And what I did with this is basically when I tied it, before I tied it to my leader or to my swivel, I ran a line through this back eye, just looped it through, ran it under the bottom, and ran it through this top eye. And what this does is you can move this. If you want it closer to the hook, you can move it back. If you want it farther from the hook, you can move it forward. And this will move up and down this line, guys. So once you get it tied and you get it where you want it, take a rubber band, just a basic rubber band, and wrap it around this. And it will tighten that to where it doesn't move freely up and down the line, and it doesn't just free float. And you can hear it rattle. It does the same thing the floats do, except it's got a rattle in it instead of having to add a rattle. And a lot of people like using these. Some people don't like running their line through the eyes, and they can rig it a different way, and I'll show you how to do that. But with the rubber band, you can adjust this thing forward and backwards, and you do not want to use these in lots of trees and stuff, because you'll break them off and lose them. That's why some people prefer this the peg floats, because they're a lot cheaper. You can buy the cigar floats and the Versa rattles a lot cheaper than you can these Demon Dragon style floats. And once again, I got these from Uncle Lou's. See if y'all can see it. They're beautiful. They add a lot of flash, but that vibration in that water really helps attract the fish. Another way to rig them, because a lot of people don't like running their line through them eyes. They feel like it creates a pinch point. Is you can tie it on both ends. We've got our hook. Your hook leader here can vary in length, guys, whatever you want it to be. Basically, whatever length of line you have below there is how much line is going to hang down from the back of this float. And once again, these are from Uncle Lou's. And all I did is I tied that improved modified clinch knot on the front and the improved modified clinch knot on the back. And then I got another leader, got the same barrel swivel. There's nothing wrong with this, guys. It does work. But my way of thinking, the more knots you got, the more errors or areas you have for failure. So that's kind of why I like that other style where I just ran it through the eyes and could slide it back and forth. I had less knots. You know, that one you got the snail on the hook and you got the knot on your barrel swivel. Well, here, instead of two, you've got your snail, you've got a knot here, and a knot here. So now you've got 4 knots. So now you've got 4 different places that this could fail. But it does the same basic principle, and it's all a personal preference, guys. There's nothing wrong with this. These knots will probably never come loose. It's just what you prefer and what you're used to. So just because somebody does something one way does not mean that's the only way. You can try different techniques and different things to do. But and once again, one of the advantages of this, where it's set up as a Santee rig, to Carolina rig it, all I got to do is pull these pegs out of this float. Take that float off and now I'm back to a Carolina rig. With the Demon Dragons and the 2-inch, 2.5-inch oval floats, if they are not slotted, them 2.5-inch oval floats, you have to cut your line to change them. This makes it, with the cigar float being slotted, it makes it easy to go back and forth. Uh, next thing we'll talk about is weights, because that's your next step. Once you have this leader tied, your main line will attach up here, and you'll be ready to go with your weights. There's lots of different weights out there, guys, different styles. Uh, I like the no-roll sinkers, and they are slotted, got holes in them where it just free flows and slides up and down on your line. Some people like this style sinker. I've seen them use them, and use sinker slides. Sinker slides come in handy with these, and also they'll use sinker slides with coin sinkers, because they can change out their weight very easy. And guys on the river that fish current, and sometimes they may have to switch from a 4-ounce to an 8-ounce weight, and instead of having to cut and retie like you would with this egg sinker or this no roll sinker, they can just unclip this weight or unclip the coin weight and clip another weight on. Same thing with the dragon weights. Let me show y'all some of them. I get mine from Santee Drifters, Fishing and Gear. Jimmy does a great job on them. This is his drifting sinker. It's flexible. He's got a breakaway swivel up here. And the advantage to this, guys, is if there's a lot of stuff on the bottom, rocks, timber, anything like that, this no roll, this egg sinker, your pyramid sinkers, coin sinkers, and these will tend to snag up in those rocks and stuff. These snag up less. And let me show you. Get one of these rigs back up here. A lot of guys, what they'll do, and this is where they use their 3-way swivel, and they'll clip, or even a sinker slide, but most of the time you'll see them with these dragon weights, they'll fix them. They'll be in a fixed position, and they'll clip that to that 3-way that's coming down, and it will basically hang like that. So as this is dragging bottom, this weight, you've got the length of your leader line, it's all floating up here to the end of your demon dragon or your spook or whatever you got. Like these are from Uncle Lou's. So it floats it up off bottom and keeps it above that structure. And if you snag up with this breakaway design, it will break before your main line does. So basically you just lose your sinker and you get to keep your gear, which is very important. I've seen guys that do this with the 3-way swivels, and they want it to float even higher in the water column. So off their 3-way swivel, they'll add a leader line in between here to get their drifting weight down. So if you do that, guys, whatever line you use to tie this drifting weight on, make sure it's a smaller pound test than your main line, because you want the sinker to break first before you lose all this. So that's a key tip. But dragon weights work well, and that's not just for guys that are drifting or trolling in boats. I've got some spots that I fish for flatheads and big blues that have a lot of rocks, and if you reel in without a fish, You just about broke off. It's guaranteed. But, but by running at Santee's Rig and running this dragon weight, this is a lot less likely to get snagged. It don't get hung under the ledges and the crevices. It will flex and come over stumps and rocks. It's very flexible. Uh, these work great. If you're fishing areas and get hung up a lot, try the drifting weights and the Santee Rig. Uh, you'd be surprised the difference it makes just rigging it Santee style and keeping that hook up off the bottom to keep you from getting snagged. And also, not just that, but as you're coming through, if there's brush, little willow branches, trees, whatever, as you're bringing that through and this float hits it, it will deflect off. Well, when it deflects, it's basically moving your hook through those obstacles like a pinball machine. It's a great technique to keep you from getting snagged. It helps a lot. So if you've never tried it, guys, try it. And like I say, with the sinker slides, a lot of guys that use the coin sinkers and stuff, they use the sinker slides. And guys, that's great. There's nothing wrong with them. Pay attention though, because there are some that are heavier rated than others, and they don't wear out as fast. Sliding up and down the line does not have so much of a drastic effect on them. So make sure you get the good ones. Do a little bit of research. I'm going to put these hooks up before I end up getting hooked. But that's a few simple knots, guys. Simple rigs that will help improve your hookups dramatically. If you have not tried circle hooks, I completely recommend them. They're great. When I post this video, down in my description, I will put the link to Uncle Lou's tackle and stuff in there. Check him out. He's a great guy. We try and support all the people in our catfish community. Sinkers, just about any sinker you want. We've got a gentleman, Brad Caudell, that makes weights, and they will ship them directly to your door. It helps a lot. So, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, or you can message me at countryboycatfishing@gmail.com. I'm more than happy to help you out and answer any questions you may got, because that's what this is about. Is we want to get this knowledge out there and help spread the word to where you can improve your angling skills and become more successful as a fisherman. That's the whole goal of this. I have no secrets. I share all my information with everybody. Try and put people on fish, help them catch fish, and I get my satisfaction out of that. So don't be afraid to ask questions, guys. And I appreciate everyone coming in. I appreciate everybody watching. And I'll catch y'all on the next video. And I'll try and get out and do some more live fishing. We've had rain for about 2.5 months straight here. Another storm system moved in last night, but eventually it'll break and we'll get back out there. Catfish spawn is on here right now, so the bite's a little slow, but we're still going to get out there and try it. And before long, you'll see us out there night fishing. So, like I say, if anybody's got any questions, comment, ask. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks everyone for watching. I appreciate y'all.